All right, friends, neighbors, loved ones, here I am with my very first Vitamin Joy tarot reading in my new studio space, and I'm so excited to bring it to you. Now, the Vitamin Joy tarot reading. I'm using my deck that I created called the Vitamin Joy Tarot. Now, why do I call it the Vitamin Joy Tarot deck? Well, I'm a big believer in what I call Vitamin Joy, being that our lives, our world, will face us with pain, death, trauma, turmoil, grief, disease. All of these awful things will come at us without us actually seeking them out. And we need to pursue, consume joy like a vitamin so we don't grow up to be jaded and bitter and judgy and bitchy. Because if you don't get enough nourishment for your heart, your mind, your soul, well, you're gonna grow up to be jaded. You're gonna grow up to be bitchy, and then you're gonna die one day and go, man, I wasted my life and because I was a bitch. So hopefully this will inspire you to get a little bit of joy. Now, I know you can't really tell from here, but I got some Golden Girls candles behind me, and I think the Golden Girls are a great representation of some joy. So I'm going to shuffle this deck 3 times. We're going to dive into the cards, and here's a reminder that before tarot was used as a source of divination, or how some people would call it, fortune telling, it was a game. Tarot was a game, a card game to begin with. So let's lean into it a little bit. Now, I'm going to give what's called the snapshot here. I'm going to take a look at where we're at, what vexes and perplexes us, what heals and reveals. And remember, you don't need to know anything about tarot because that's my job, and I'm going to share this with you here. Okay, where are we collectively right now? We are the world. We are the children. So here's the world card. The world card is the last of the major arcana cards, and this talks about a sense of completion, hitting the end of the line, but of course it talks about the world where, I think we're all very much feeling now like what happens in the world is affecting everybody. As much as people don't like the idea of globalism, we are all interconnected now, and the internet really clinched that for us. Right now, what we're watching is oil prices going through the roof because of the stuff that's going on in the Middle East. This shows us that we're no longer isolated. I think probably isolationism in terms of American history went out the window when Pearl Harbor happened. We're no longer isolated from the rest of the world. Now, there's NATO, there's all of these things that people can talk about, but what happens in the world does affect us here at home. And what happens in America affects what's going on around the outside of in other countries. This world card shows us that we are, yes, all connected, and there's also a sense of hope here because, and I know hope might seem a little hokey at this point, but I do really get a sense of hope that, like Martin Luther King Jr. once said, the arc of the universe always bends towards justice. I don't want to be I don't want to be overly optimistic when I think things are going to work out, but things have a way of working out for us, even if it takes thousands of years for it to get there. This card weirdly reminds me of the perseverance of the human spirit in the face of adversity. How are you looking through this lens of adversity? How are you dealing with national politics, global politics? Are you staying hopeful? This card reminds me that it is our responsibility to keep hope alive because the energy we put out into the world affects other people, and that's where we're connected. What happens to me happens to you. How are you affecting your fellow man with what you're putting out into the world? Are you putting out sorrow, negativity, heartache, pain? Are you increasing that in the world by, sharing certain things on social media? You know, what you put out there in the world does have an effect on other people around you. So, you know, they call it doom scrolling for a reason. Are what you putting out on your social media feeds full of doom? Are you actually partaking and participating in the doom machine? Now, what challenges us, what vexes and perplexes us, is the Queen of Swords. I think this is a level of judgment. This is a level of justice. We don't see it. This could also be, you know, being clinically detached from our feelings. Okay. I think a lot of us have to remain clinically detached from our feelings because there's a lot to be upset about. And I think a lot of us can be upset at how other people around us, you know, I see this a lot in terms of like, you know, things like the Epstein files. Oh my God, people are not freaking out enough. People are not freaking out enough. I think I see that over and over again. And while a little bit of that is true, what does freaking out get for us? You know, like you better be in contact with your state reps, senators, governors, all of that. Hopefully, you know, you're adding your voice to theirs. But what good does freaking out do for us? I know that's I don't know the answer to that question. What heals and reveals is the Three of Swords. This for me talks about how when we use our mind not in a skillful way, we can hurt ourselves. A lot of our heartbreak comes from the way that we hold the world, the way that we view the world. And I think that the way we use our mind can definitely affect the way we get through in this world. You know, how do I personally handle the Jeffrey Epstein stuff? I have to limit myself to that exposure because I can't change it. I can only get frustrated. And there's at a certain point where that amount of frustration will impact my well being, and then I can't show up and be the best version of me. So, of course, I have to skillfully detach myself from that story so I can just basically survive in this world. I guess there is a fine line between what's called disassociation and compartmentalization and being skillful with our sensitivity. You know, we're sensitive beings. We are hurt by that which we see, and when we see other people hurt, it hurts us. I think we have to be skillful with that. And how do we do that? I think showing up for ourselves. Like, I know what I would say to my child about the Epstein files. I know how I would guide him through it. I know how I would guide my best friend through it, and I have to be able to show up for myself in this way. I would encourage you, whether it's in your personal life, personal issues, or national stuff, global stuff, be skillful with your sensitivity so you're not drowning and you're not destroying your world. I wish I had better answers than that, but hopefully that will do. The world is a weird place, a harsh place. We have to be able to skillfully interact with it so we don't lose ourselves to it. We have to be in the world. We don't necessarily have to be of it. So keep your head up, keep your chin up, find your joy, whatever it is. It's warming up, you know. Are you into seedlings? Are you into gardens? You know, you go out and buy some packs of pansies and put them near your front step. That is something that you can do with your own two hands to bring a little bit of peace and joy to your own world. And I guess that's important because we've got to remember what we can actually do in our own little world to make things better for us and our loved ones around us. And we can't let this massive wave of pain and turmoil come at us to forget how important it is to plant some pansies by our front steps. So, all my love to you. Thank you for being here. Take care of yourself and get your vitamin joy on.